All right, so we're recording here. So take a look quickly in how we can go ahead and set something up that'll help us to have some successful runs consistently, eliminating some risk for some options on Fanduel in particular, using this tool here, the draft dashboard. To get this here, as I'll remind you again, just click on the description part of the YouTube video so you can pick this up as well. So you need this tool up as well as this here, the standard deviation calculator that is. So first starting with the draft dashboard, what you want to get to, of course, obviously is the NHL slate of the day or night, as this will have that information, of course, all inclusive in this. There's a lot of different options of tools you can look into different ways, such as a position optimizer to optimize each position if you want wanting to do that. But what I like to do is go ahead and get to the low risk proven players, that is the fancy studs. This will eliminate the options that I'm looking for as the players that are most desired in looking at on my particular slate. So this one's already done. We need to flip over to the main. It's only 3 games, but it's coming up at 7 o'clock. Just trying to get that to go here. There we go. Well, that's pulling up. Our calculator will be ready here as well. As we look at goalies, we won't get into today. Well, I may just look at that for a bit, but looking at first, all we're gonna do here is just real simply to do it for you, to keep it as simple as possible. As remember, Josh Morrissey is at 8.6 valued per game. So with that per game average, all we gotta do is take his scoring, as it shows here, all the scoring for Fanduel the past 10 games, as I like to take. Copy those. Come over to the standard deviation calculator. Get rid of these numbers that are on there by default. Paste these in. As I'm doing this here, you can see that once you do this a few times, it'll be pretty easy. The first couple times, you'd be a bit confused as what these numbers are, but I know which numbers are the actual fan points scored for the day per the past 10 games, as you'll see that as well. So those are the only numbers we need here on the calculator. I'm just eliminating the other numbers here and doing this pretty quickly. Obviously, it takes some time, a lot of time, to do this for every player that's on the slate. Smallest slate, of course, not so much, but at least choosing the low-risk fancy studs option on that tool helps us eliminate the players that we don't want pretty quickly. So we go here and we have now on this tool the previous most 10 games scored. So it's going to give us a standard deviation. I look at this in terms of like upside. So they have this player has an upside of 5.9 right here. We can see that. So then I'll take my calculator. And I'll divide 5.9 by his average, remember, points per game, which was 8.6, which is right here. So we're doing 5.9 divided by 8.6. Obviously, anytime you divide a number that is smaller than the second number you divide by, you get less than 1. So we got a 0.68, which shows to be consistent. A fairly consistent play, an option. If you go by his previous 10 games, of course. If you went by a full season, obviously that gives you the full season, but we're not really in NHL hockey in this particular sport, at least not, looking for safe option in terms of the whole season. Really more so because of the changes and the effects that go on during a longer NHL season, just for the past 10 games, and that's what I'm interested in. And so then I just start to line up all these, just to give you a couple examples of how all these line up. You could write them out on a pen and paper, do those calculations, divide them by, and then come up with your coefficient variable equals this number here, 0.68 or 1.0 or 1.2, whatever it is. And just showing you here that I did this on the 27th. That took a bunch of guys here. For example, a forward marches out from Vegas with a standard deviation or upside. Remember, the guy we just did, the defenseman, was at 5. This guy's at 9. So he has more upside because sometimes he deviates from his average, which is good, 15.7 right here, and gets a coefficient variable, once again, good at 6.61. Although Riley Smith, who happens to skate on the same line for Vegas, averages 13, a standard deviation of 3. Obviously, 13 divided by 13, that's 1. So he's not as a consistent option. But if you're obviously stacking, it could still be a good option on a cash play. You just want to kind of not take too many risks with other players that have a high coefficient variable. And as for goalies, real quick, you just take money lines. The best player likely to win, a negative 200 some is obviously good for a starting goalie for any team. And whether they're home or away, it's a big factor in deciding that as well, as long as splits, for their average at home, which is probably usually better at home than away. So sometimes maybe an exception. So just remember to go to the description on the bottom of the page. As you sort these out here, this shows your algorithm overall for really any position in the stud options for the night or the day. And click on that link in the description. You'll get this tool. And of course, you can always bring up just a simple standard deviation calculator, Google search that, and you'll be all set to take your low risk option plays for your slate. Take care.